Welcome back. This video is about preventing the accidental deletion of objects on S3. You can enable MFA Delete option on a bucket to help ensure that the data in your bucket cannot be accidentally deleted. MFA Delete requires a versioned bucket because if a bucket isn't versioned, you can permanently delete any object simply by overwriting the object. This can be done by creating a new object with the same key. Requiring MFA for deletions, in that case, would accomplish no real purpose, since it would be trivial to override or have a workaround, whether accidentally or on purpose. With MFA Delete active and versioning active as required, you can still overwrite an object by creating a new object with the same key, but that isn't an overwrite. No data is lost because the prior current version of the object becomes a previous version of the object. With the MFA Delete option enabled, two forms of authentication are required to permanently delete a version of an object: your AWS account credentials and a valid code from an authentication device in your physical possession. Let's look into different steps to enable MFA Delete feature. Create an S3 bucket. Make sure you have root user account keys for CLI access. Configure AWS CLI with root account credentials, list, and verify versioning enabled for the bucket. List the virtual MFA devices for root account. Enable MFA Delete on bucket, and finally test MFA Delete. As we talked earlier that in order to prevent accidental deletion, we need to enable MFA and make sure the bucket is versioned. We looked up different steps to enable MFA. Now let's look into how we can version your objects on S3. It is enabled at the bucket level. It is a best practice to version your buckets. Versioning protects against unintended deletes. It provides the ability to retain previous versions. It provides the ability to roll back to a previous version easily. When versioning is enabled, when a user deletes an object in an S3 bucket, all subsequent requests will no longer be able to retrieve the object. However, all other versions of that object will continue to be stored in your S3 bucket, and those versions of the object can be retrieved.